Hello and welcome to Rise and Unwind. My name is Dan. You know, each and every week I try to talk to people from across the country about things you can do in your neighborhood. And on this week's show, we got this.
But it was really fun to play someone who's just devoid of any fear. It was a little liberating. Not to say I condone bad behavior.
At some point, betrayal will happen, and it's intense. You get close with a lot of people, and that can, it's like I said, for me, it was actually a really emotional experience.
That's such a hard question to answer. I mean, when I was 19 and getting paid to run around on the beach, that was not a bad gig,
All of that and more right here on Rise and Unwind. So what happens when you load a cruise ship with Christmas superfans, a few Hallmark heartthrobs, and more fake snow than the Bahamas has ever seen? You get Christmas at Sea, a brand new docuseries that set sail during Hallmark's 13th annual Christmas in July celebration. This four-part series follows real-life fans living out their holiday dreams on the first ever Hallmark Christmas Cruise, complete with karaoke, surprise proposals, ATV rides, and maybe a little matchmaking made on the seven seas. Joining us today are three of the stars helping to make all that happen: Taylor Cole, Andrew Walker, and Wes Brown. Welcome to the show, you three. How are you?
Great. How are you? Thanks for having
I'm
us.
doing okay. I'm not stuck out at sea. It's not Christmas time. All right. I guess you guys are doing better than me. You've all starred in plenty of Hallmark Christmas movies, but this time you're on a real-life cruise with real-life super fans. What made Christmas at Sea feel a little different?
This was a fan interaction that we have never got to experience. The level of connection and emotion and genuine storytelling and sharing with each other was unlike anything we've ever experienced. So to get the chance to document it was awesome. And I'm just glad that we got to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And there's some really personal moments in the series, like a surprise proposal. I don't want to give it all away. Maybe a script pitch or two, a couple of grandmas celebrating their grandson. Was there any particular story that stuck with you?
Well, I think the people going through some health issues, obviously, because that's pretty extreme. It's life or death, and they've come out on the other end. And I think that and it's made them want to do something momentous in their life. Make a decision that they've always wanted to do, but they never really thought was the right time. And so I think some of those stories, and there was a few within the 5 storylines, those were the ones that really impacted me, I think, the most. Yeah.
And we hear there was a Finding Mr. Shipmas competition and pretty much a full-on Christmas tree lighting ceremony. What were the most memorable cruise events to let's just say, for each of you?
I mean, this is for sure by far the most memorable cruise I've ever taken in my life. And I think the most impactful or memorable moment for me was just walking out on stage at the celebration, the initial reveal of all of the talent, and to see what kind of reaction we got when we walked out on stage was incredibly breathtaking. I've never had that kind of feeling like a rock star. I felt like
So much joy, so much love. It was overwhelming. It really was beautiful.
For me, it was towards the end of the cruise. We worked with a lot of talented actors. Here are 2 of them right there, but we had a part where we did a complete ad lib where we had one of our writers write about a 7-page, it was almost like a poem, and I got to read it, and then our actors got to act it out in front of a huge live audience. And that was just, I barely got through it because I was trying to watch them do their thing. But there was so much stuff. And that's just one of them. That's just one of many. And I think the fans just absolutely loved it.
Andrew, you and Paul helped someone plan a proposal at sea. How did you guys manage to hold together with all those emotions and everything else going around?
Well, that was one of the storylines that I was talking about. She'd gone through a major surgery and came out on the other end. So it was it was so, we were so vulnerable, it was such a vulnerable moment for all of us. And I think that's the beauty of a lot of these storylines, is that you're seeing real, genuine emotion. This isn't scripted. This is happening in the moment. And I think that we were caught off guard with how emotional it made us feel and tap into, things that we haven't felt in a long time. So to feel that empathy, for what these people have gone through, and to support them along the way, and to maybe fulfill a dream that they've had or something they've always wanted to do. They just didn't have the right forum to do it in. Was incredibly rewarding and humbling.
And Hallmark fans are really a loyal group. My mom is one of them. And this docuseries kind of shows the connection between stars and their audience. And what did it mean to kind of celebrate that bond, especially in such an over-the-top, maybe silly, joyful way?
I mean, when you watch a Christmas Hallmark movie, it brings all of the feelings, all of the love, all of the joy. And really, they're not just watching the Hallmark movies, they live them. So you feel it in person. So it's beautiful.
All right, thank you, 30, for joining me this morning. Don't miss Christmas at Sea. It's a 4-part docuseries that's coming into your home this summer. It premieres July 7th at 8 p.m. Eastern on Hallmark Channel, and it streams the next day on Hallmark Plus. Perfect for anyone who thinks Christmas could happen or should happen more than once a year. Hey, thank you, 3, for joining me this morning.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Have a great day.
Ever wonder what it would look like if your favorite assassin showed up to a missing persons case with zero fear, a leather jacket, and enough charm to make you forget she's, well, lethal? You might know her from Cowboy Bebop, Jurassic World, or The Detour, but in The Accountant 2, Daniella Pineda is stepping into a whole new world of secrets, strategy, and survival. Welcome to the show, Daniela. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. Well, it looks like you open up the film with a bang, literally, in that tavern scene with J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
How did you tap into Nias's cold confidence from the start?
It was something that I found in the audition process. I read the sides, which are like the scene they give you for the audition, and I didn't know anything about it. They don't tell you anything. I mean, you don't know anything until like 2 weeks after you've booked the part. Like, I got access to the script, so I really was in the dark. But I made an educated guess that this was someone who was a little scary and supposed to be intimidating. And so when I was auditioning, I worked with this guy named Tyler Rice, and he just kept saying, let's make her more still. Make her more still. Don't blink. Can you do this scene and not blink? And I was just like, holy, this is so different for me. Because everything I've done before has been kind of animated or silly or, whatnot. So this was like a major, major departure from that. It was basically a good character study on how to be scary, which is not a lot of movement.
All right, and there's also like this line in the notes about Nias being relaxed and chill, even in chaos. Was that fun to play, or was it like trying to really difficult to find the balance of being calm and also a psycho killer?
Oh, it was really fun. It was super fun. Actually, while I was shooting that scene, I was reading this book just totally by chance called Sociopath, a memoir, which I recommend to everybody. It was absolutely fascinating and also like very educational about people who have that disorder or that diagnosis. But it was really fun to play someone who's just devoid of any fear. It was a little liberating. Not to say I condone bad behavior. I'm a huge empath and a cuddle bug, but it was kind of liberating and fun.
And there's also a huge undercurrent of mystery for your character. Without spoiling anything, I know a lot unfolds throughout the film, but what should audiences be watching for her in this storyline?
I think they should just be watching her and paying attention. This is also a movie I want to say is not something you go and watch at home. I mean, yes, it will be available streaming at home, but it really is meant for the theater. Like, you can't be on your phone playing Tetris and then half watching the movie because you're going to miss it. So this is definitely a pay attention type film. But I would just say watch her because you're probably going to see her again.
I want to thank you for joining me this morning. You got to check out The Accountant 2. It's in theaters now. Thanks for joining me, Daniela.
Thank you so much.
Do you ever look at a hospital bill and wonder if they just made up the numbers? Well, you're not alone, and businesses are starting to push back. As prices rise everywhere, healthcare costs are ballooning too. And it turns out hospital pricing may be a big part of the problem. So joining us today is Shawn Gremminger, President and CEO of the National Alliance of Healthcare Purchaser Coalitions. He's got the inside scoop on how hospital pricing practices are driving up costs for all of us. Welcome to the show, Shawn. How are you?
Great to see you. Thanks so much.
All right, let's get real. Why are hospital prices such a mess, and how is it hitting businesses and working families in the wallet?
Yeah, so about half the people in the United States, 180 million of us, get our healthcare through employers, right? You work for a company, they provide health insurance. And hospital prices or hospitals make up about half the amount of money that employers spend on all of their healthcare. We've seen hospital price increases be higher than inflation for the last couple of decades. So over the last 20, 25 years, it's been more than twice the rate of inflation, which means that a bigger part of our spending and spending for working families is going to large consolidated hospital systems.
Can you walk us through how those pricing practices actually impact what local employers pay and how that trickles down to employees?
Absolutely. So most of the price increases are really driven by market consolidation. You've probably seen this in Tampa and metropolitan areas all over the country. 10, 20 years ago, you used to see a lot of independent physician practices, Dr. So-and-so providing orthopedics, Dr. So-and-so providing dermatology. Now, if you drive around, you see that most of the time it's a large hospital system's name on the outside. By buying up other hospitals and then actually doing what we call vertical consolidation, buying physician practices and other providers, these large, technically not-for-profit, but pretty profitable systems are able to get bigger market leverage, which means that they can then go back out when they are trying to negotiate prices and say to employers, purchasers, and others, look, I'm big, you can't really avoid me. You're going to have to pay the higher prices that I'm demanding. What that means is that there's less money to go around for all of us. So that means lower wages. As employers are spending more money on health insurance, they have less money to provide increases in wages. It also means that people are just paying more out of pocket. So unfortunately, what we're finding is that it's leading to medical bankruptcy. More than 60% of all bankruptcy in the United States is caused by unpaid medical bills. And that is largely a product of the kind of pricing dynamics we're seeing.
A lot of folks I talk to feel stuck between higher premiums and smaller paychecks. How connected is that to what hospitals are charging?
Yeah, as I said, half of the amount of money that we're spending is going towards hospitals. People tend to blame lots of different folks in the healthcare industry for higher prices. There's plenty of blame to go around, but we need to recognize that hospitals are where most of the money is going. And in the end, if you're paying higher premiums, larger out-of-pocket costs every time you go and see a doctor, and you're getting lower wages, that is in large part caused by these very profitable and not community-driven hospital systems that really need to change their practices, since they are at least theoretically supposed to be doing what's best for their community.
What about underserved areas or rural communities? How do these pricing issues affect access to care there?
Yeah, it's a real challenge. So one of the things we've seen is that as hospital systems have consolidated, they tend to focus most of their energy on buying practices or setting up new clinics in higher income areas, right, where they can make the most money, like any typical business. But that means that areas of the country, particularly rural areas where you see fewer commercially insured people, more retirees, more low income people, they don't get the same kind of investment. So it means that small rural hospitals are actually struggling really significantly financially. Many of them are going out of business every year. And what it means is that for people in a small rural area, they might be driving 20, 30, 50, 100 miles to get access to healthcare. And they're paying significantly more out of pocket.
If somebody wants to dig into this more or even get involved, where can they go?
So the National Alliance is pleased to be leading a campaign called Employers Against Hospital Pricing Abuse. Our website is hospitalpricingabuse.org. You can go there to learn more about what we're doing and get involved.
Thanks for joining me, Shawn.
Thanks so much.
Have you ever dreamed of high-speed getaways, dusty back roads, and that 1970s crime world where danger is just a pit stop away? Max's new series, Duster, might be your next obsession. From Emmy winner J.J. Abrams and showrunner LaToya Morgan, Duster stars Josh Holloway as a getaway driver trying to outrun his past, and Rachel Hilson, a trailblazing FBI agent who's got her sights on taking down the dangerous crime syndicate. And come on, man, we got them both here to talk all about it. Welcome to the show, you two.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, Josh, you play a getaway driver in the 1970s Southwest. What kind of drew you to this role, and what makes Duster different than some of the other crime dramas out there?
Wow, everything drew me to this role. First of all, it was JJ and LaToya Morgan, and I was like, that's incredible on its own. It's such a rich era to explore. The 70s, just with fashion and music and cars and everything. It was just a dream come true to get a phone call like this. I'm like, absolutely, I'm in 100%.
And Rachel, your character is an FBI agent in the 70s. What kind of preparation or mindset did it take to try to bring Nina to life?
Yeah. It did take some prep. I had the opportunity to speak to several former agents, a couple of which were Black women who joined in the early 80s. So getting their insights was invaluable. I read a bunch of books. I watched a bunch of movies, read all about Nixon and the Panthers just before and their their conflicts with the FBI and the Black community's conflicts with the FBI, and just sort of tried to get a well-rounded picture of where I was coming from and where I was in 1972. Yeah.
And there's a heck of a lot of grit and style in the show. What kind of world are viewers stepping into when they pretty much hit play on this?
Wow. It's kind of like a modern Western. It feels like it's like this. The desert is a character in itself. The car moves you between scenes. So it's got this high octane driven pace. And then it's so character driven. You never know what character you're going to run into. So it's just like that. It's like a Pulp Fiction, lock, stock, two smoking barrels type adventure.
Yeah. There was something that JJ said, I think a couple weeks ago that was like, it's sort of like what a show that was made in the 70s would look like if, it was just elevated a little more.
If it was done good.
If it was done well.
Josh, Rachel, thanks for joining me this morning. Duster is streaming now on Max with new episodes dropping every Thursday through July 3rd. So check it out at max.com or search Duster on your Max app to start watching. Josh, Rachel, thanks for joining me this morning, my friends.
Thank you, Dan.
Do you ever wonder what it's like to travel across Europe without knowing where you actually are? It's kind of a weird question. NBC's Destination X drops blindfolded contestants into a high-stakes, high-confusion game of trust, strategy, and pretty much pure guesswork. Joining me today is Peter Weber. Yep, Pilot Pete himself, who's no stranger to reality TV drama after The Bachelor and The Traitors. Now he's trading roses for riddles on the ultimate geo-guessing game board. Welcome to the show, Peter. How are you?
I'm so good, man. It's so good to be here with you. Super stoked to have this whole adventure play out.
All right, you've been through The Bachelor, The Traitors, and now it's Destination X. Like, what made you say yes to like hopping on a bus with strangers that have zero GPS?
I think very blessed. A lot of the opportunities I've had, but I think this was the one that I think I was made for the most. The second I heard about this, it was an immediate yes for me. Just the nature of me, my career, obviously, and the passion I've always had for traveling and seeing this world. This was just the most insane experience. And I can truly say it was the greatest thing I've ever done in my entire life. The most rewarding, the most beautiful experience, the most difficult experience as well. It was like I said, an immediate yes, and so stoked that I did it.
So what makes you say that it's like the greatest experience that you've ever done?
There were so many moments throughout this game that I truly, again, your senses are deprived, right? So when you are out and about and you actually have, your mask off, you're not in the bus, it's moments that you have to take extreme advantage of. And there was just a bunch of those where I remember looking around and like it almost like gets me like emotional talking about it, because it was one of the most beautiful sceneries that I've ever encountered. And like the things that we get to do in these places, you could never imagine it, in your wildest dreams. So being able to just check off a lot of the locations, that I haven't been to, some that I had been to, but some that I hadn't as well, was incredible. And just a lot of just awe moments, just epic is, I think, the best way to describe it. And it's going to be really cool to watch it back.
What about the mind games and like the survival? How did you approach the strategy side of all this?
Ton of strategy. Ton of betrayal. That's the nature of this game. You can work with someone, so long, right? But at the end, there can only be one winner. It's not like, Traitors. It was a little bit different of a format where you could work as a group and win as a group. Well, here it turns that on its head. So at some point, betrayal will happen, and it's intense. You get close with a lot of people, and that can, it's like I said, for me, it was actually a really emotional experience. It really was, and I wasn't quite expecting that, but just from the awe factor of it and being able to see so many unique parts of this beautiful world to the personal, relationship aspect of it too, and putting trust in someone, and then either having to break that trust or have that trust broken with you. It's a tough thing to navigate. So definitely have to have some mental fortitude to make it in this game and be successful. And I would say, the majority, if not all the players, definitely had that. The casting did a great job of picking the right players.
Peter Weber, thanks for joining me this morning. Catch Peter Weber and the rest of the crew every Tuesday night at 10 Eastern on NBC, and stream the episodes the very next day on Peacock. Thanks for joining me this morning, Peter.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Do you remember Tic Tac Dough? Well, it's back. And this time there's a twist and a dragon. The classic game show has been reimagined for a new generation with Emmy-nominated host Brooke Burns leading the charge. You know her from The Chase, Masterminds, Dog Eat Dog, and yeah, she also survived Baywatch. Brooke's here to tell you how, what's new with this nostalgic, and what's new, and what's it like dodging dragons in prime time. Welcome to the show, Brooke. How are you, my friend?
Thank you so much. I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I am always dodging a beast or a dragon or something. How do I get myself into these situations, right? Yes, I survived the cold waters of Baywatch as well. I'm a survivor. What can I say?
You got this. You got this. All right. Tic Tac Dough. It's new. It's with a dragon. Where did this idea come from?
So obviously, game shows seem to have this sort of timeless appeal. And I think Tic-Tac-Toe is the same way. It's been around for so many decades, on air, off air. Obviously, Chuck Berry hosted it, Wink Martindale, who we recently lost. And so when GSN came to me and said, we're going to be doing a reboot of this, playing Tic-Tac-Toe as a child was so much fun. It's the first game that you ever learn. And then adding the trivia element, I feel very comfortable with. And then the adorable little virtual dragon, who is not as frightening as Beastie, was also part of the appeal. I just think it's like every game show that you can come and you can watch and you can either just check out and enjoy and be entertained, or you can play along. And it doesn't matter if you're with your grandma or your kids or whatever. And it was just fun. I just really wanted to come on and have something to offer people again, where you can just come and enjoy yourself and, have your community around you. And it starts that conversation. And of course, if you're competitive, maybe a little bit of that fun, jabbing competitiveness that you can play with your family.
I was just showing my producer here photos of me and Wink Martindale from 2013. I did some promos with him.
Can I see one?
I'm dressed up. I'll show him now. I'm dressed up like a bellhop. Me and Wink are hanging out on set. So we did some promos together for real. So it was cool working with him. Amazing. Did you ever get to meet him or work with him in the past? Or?
I did. He actually came to the set of The Chase, and I was so excited and honored that he came. And when he came out on stage and we were hanging out and speaking and stuff, I just really, when he has that true essence, that true authenticity, where you're like, of course he's a game show. He's like everybody's best friend. You just feel like you could reach through the TV and you knew him, like you could have him over to your house and have a cup of coffee. That's exactly how he is. And he was just so gracious and kind. And I only wish that somebody could have said right then, hey, Wink, she's going to be hosting Tic-Tac-Toe in 10 years. And then us had that moment to share together.
I would say that you have some big shoes to fill, but because it is Wink Martindale. But I've seen your work. You're amazing. You do really good stuff. You're very funny. You're charming. Yeah, you bring to the table a lot of good hosting skills. So I'm not just trying to say you got big shoes to fill. I think they found the right person to fill those shoes automatically.
So much. I am going to try and honor him with this.
So how does hosting this compare to some of the other stuff that you have done in the past?
Good question. They're all a little bit different in their own way, but this one was really, I think, a more intimate set for me, just because there's only 2 contestants. So I love people, and I feel like I got to spend a little more time with the contestants, which I really enjoyed. And not so much pressure. The Beastie's not breathing down my neck. The speed rounds are not really about me being perfect and fast, more about can they, get away from the dragon. So I just really enjoyed myself. I kind of felt like I could let my hair down on this one a little bit. And I think it shows.
And you've had a pretty cool career, like from acting to hosting. And what's your favorite gig? Does anything come to light, or does this top the list, I guess?
That's such a hard question to answer. I mean, when I was 19 and getting paid to run around on the beach, that was not a bad gig, I get paid to do that. So I love those days. Hosting my very first show, Dog Eat Dog, was a real joy of mine, just because I love competition. And I think that's where I fell in love with game and reality and hosting in and of itself. And so that leading, to all of these other shows, I'm obviously incredibly proud of The Chase. Working with Beastie and getting nominated for an Emmy for that was pretty exciting. I brought my mom and dad out to come to the Emmys with me. And so, I think it's just all of them really, because I think if I asked my 10-year-old self, I thought I was going to be a ballet teacher and have 6 kids and never leave Texas. So I just love what I get to do. And especially now, if I'm flying on an airplane and somebody asks me, like, what do you do for a living? There's no better answer than I'm a game show host. People can't believe it. They're like, is that a joke? I'm like, no, it's for real.
How good are you at trivia? Have you absorbed any of this, or is it?
Oh my gosh, I thought you were asking if I would ask those people. Yes, I ask people trivia all day in my everyday life. No, I'm not great at trivia. I feel like under pressure, I totally panic. And if somebody asked me my daughter's middle name, that I would be like, oh, buzzer.
I'm in the same boat. I can't come up with names. I can't come up with words, but I'm great at trivia because all of a sudden my brain will find it. But there are those moments that I know exactly what I'm talking about and I just can't find the words. But all right.
I've had those few moments where something pops into my head and Beastie doesn't know it, then I feel really good about myself.
When you battle the Beastie and win, I love it. That's a bar to beat. All right, you can check out Tic Tac Dough. It's weeknights at 7 on Game Show Network. Brooke Burns, thanks for hanging out with me.
Thank you so much.
That's it for Rise and Unwind. I want to thank you for tuning in and checking out the show. If you actually want to follow our website, go to our website. That's riseunwindtv.com. We do have a YouTube channel at Rise Unwind TV. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that extra good stuff. Until next week, that was the show we like to call Rise and Unwind.
Valentine, string your magic arrow, pierce it through my heart. Valentine, bring me love and sorrow. It's not fair to leave me in the dark. Every year I write you something different.